Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 21st of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video, we will be taking up the complete analysis of the Hindu newspaper as well as also we will be taking up if there are some good articles in the Indian Express explained section. Now, first of all, before taking it up, let's see the overview of the articles today. And guys, the explainer PDF, fine. It is available onto the Telegram channel, and that explainer synoptic notes PDF you can download from the Telegram. The link has been given in the description box. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the articles. First, we will be taking up the Indian Express explained section. Now, the first article here, it is talking about the IAS officers and their central posting. So, recently, the government has proposed the amendment into the IAS officers cadre rules. So, this particular article is there. We will be taking it up along with the Hindu because there also the two articles are there onto the same line. Then the concerns over 5G and the flight safety. So already yesterday into the Hindu's editorial section, this particular article we have taken, it basically pertains to the USA, where basically in the USA it was said that around the airports the 5G will not be allowed because it will interfere in the altimeters of the aircraft because both of them operate onto the same band of spectrum. So yesterday we have seen, however, it is about that USA. Please don't go too much into the detail. Brent at 7-year high. Okay, so because of which basically we see that the lot of volatility in coming into the market. Fine, but again not very much relevant for the examination. So this article is important one. Now moving on, the next the Hindu newspaper. So first of all, we will be taking up the text and the context section, which contains really some very good articles on few days. So basically here the first article is talking about the question of OBC reservation in the local bodies. So this is a very good article with respect to the polity. We will be taking this article. Then further moving on, after that, the starstruck amidst a new wave of Malayalam cinema. Not important article for our examination. Now we come to the first page of the Hindu newspaper. So first article is talking about the Supreme Court upholds the OBC quota in the NEET examination. A very good article and very good references have been used into this particular article, which we can directly use in the examination. Then after that, moving on, nothing very much important into the same line has been given. Now guys, here just briefly we will be seeing one of a reference that has been made by the Prime Minister of India. Now the Prime Minister had said this particular thing, that the focus on the rights have made India weak. It has been said that in the last 75 years we have just acknowledged the rights. We are talking about the rights and we are wasting our time. So this particular thing has made India weak. So Prime Minister says that rather than the rights, we now need to talk more on the duties and we need to carry a sense of tapasya. Now you might have your own viewpoint into this particular direction, that whether do you agree it with or not, but this is just the thing which has been there. Then further moving on, after that, basically the political news in the city section, the regional news, regional trends, etc. has been there. No needed to go into this particular direction. So further moving on guys, as we move after that, basically we will be reaching to the editorial page, and on the editorial page, okay, in the city section, regional section, much of important articles are not there, so simply skip it. So coming to the editorial page, drop the IAS cadre rules amendments. So it is talking about the IAS posting and the central deputation. We will see this particular article, what are the important things. Then a gentleman spy master. Okay, so basically it is talking about the Rameshwar Nath cow. Okay, nothing very much important with respect to the UPSC examination. Okay, a personal memoir stories have been told. Fine, nothing important. Then the court and the compensation. So it talks about the recent Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court has provided that the ex gratia compensation of 50,000 rupees needed to be given to the families who had lost their loved ones due to the COVID-19. We have seen this particular article that we can see that it might be some sort of judicial activism that has been taken, but at times the judicial activism becomes important because of the legislative logjam and legislative apathy that comes. So into this particular direction, Supreme Court had directed the state government, because many of the state governments had not taken much of the steps into this particular direction. Clear? Then Yemen's tragedy. So it is talking about the Yemen crisis. Then should the government loosen its purse strings? So before the budget, what should be the government's strategy on economic sphere, on economic line? We'll see this particular thing. Then the Kashmir's press club has been closed. Such thing has been provided here into this particular article. Then further moving on, a fall in deputations to center in 2021. So basically the DOPT's data has been provided here. We'll see this particular article along with the IAS's deputation. Then further moving on, here we can see that the Assam Meghalaya CMs meet the Home Minister to resolve the boundary issue. Now these kind of gestures are good, so not needed to go into this particular article. But guys, few days back we have seen that there was a confrontation that happened between the Assam, Meghalaya, and many other states. So such confrontations have happened into the past. Even if we take the example of Tamil Nadu and Kerala on the Mullaperiyar dam, there has been the confrontation. So basically, large number of state interstate confrontations have been there. So these kind of things need to be resolved, fine, and such kind of things is a good gesture. Then further moving on into this particular direction, fine. After that, guys, the political news have been given into this entire page, nothing very much important, fine. Then the environment ministry plans to rack states draw ire. So we'll see this particular article. The brahmos missile has been mentioned, so we'll see that what has been there into this particular thing. Then on the world's page, guys, just the same thing has been continued. There is the USA and Russia who are into a kind of a war, in a basically a kind of a proxy war. They are fighting over the Ukraine. Is it clear? Russia is very keen to have a that Russia is very keen to invade the Ukraine, and the USA is always warning the Russia that please don't do this particular thing. So every day the statements, counter statements are being issued, fine. So please don't go into this every day to day development. Then Houthis used drones, so basically it is talking about the Yemen crisis. Then guys, further moving on the business page, HUL's profit and such GDP, such corporate trends, etc. has been discussed. Is it clear? India's rating pegs for financial year 23 at 7.6%. However, guys, we need to see that how this Omicron will be evolving further. After that, we come to the sports page. So that is all, guys, about the important articles in the today's newspaper. And now let's take all these articles one by one in the detail. Now, as we do in every class, we start with the GS quote that can be utilized in one of your GS papers. So today we'll be taking the quote from Norman Cousins. Norman Cousins says, in a democracy, the individual enjoys not only the ultimate power but carries the ultimate responsibility. So the democracy is about your responsibilities. Responsibilities when you are using your freedom of speech and expression. Responsibilities to understand that up to which extent your rights will be there. Responsibility to carry forward your duties. Responsibility towards the civic morality. Okay, so all these responsibilities are an equal important part into a democracy. So this idea we can utilize in GS paper number 2, fine. Even in GS paper number 4 we can utilize this particular idea, and we can use such kind of a thing in essays also. So that is about this. And now let's take the first article. Okay, so the first article we have taken from the text and the context section. So it is talking about the OBC reservation in the local bodies. Fine. So there is a controversy that is going on in the Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh on this OBC reservation. So this particular article will be important in our GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, the constitutional issues. This article will be important. Fine. And we'll understand it from very scratch. Okay. Even if you don't know anything, don't worry and try to understand at what has been provided. So first of all, before going in this article, we'll take some of a background which is very much important to make some sense. So this background goes like this, that you might be knowing this thing, that the 73rd and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act has been very much important. 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act constitutionalized the third tier of the governance. Urban local bodies and the Panchayati Raj institutions were constitutionalized by the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, when these amendment acts were passed, at that point of a time, there is one more thing that came. It was provided that in the panchayats and in the urban local bodies, if the state government want, they can give the reservation to the other backward classes. Fine, reservation can be given to them if the state government wants. Is it clear? Now, but at the same it was at the wish of the state government that was there. Now, guys, into this particular direction, certain state governments had tried to give the reservation to the OBCs in the panchayat and the ULB elections. And in this context, there is one Supreme Court judgment which first of all becomes very much important. We'll understand this Supreme Court judgment which pertains to this, and then we'll understand this case. So basically, basically there is a Supreme Court judgment of 2010, and the judgment is K. Krishnamurthy versus Union of India judgment. Now, into this particular judgment, the Supreme Court provided that, see, there are the two articles in our constitution, Article 243D subclause 6 and Article 243T subclause 6, fine, which actually permits the reservation, fine, for the OBCs in the panchayat and the municipal bodies election. Supreme Court provided that yes, reservation is permissible, but there are the three tests that are needed to be done before giving the reservation. If these three criteria are fulfilled, only then the reservation are needed to be given to the OBCs. So what are these? A triple test. Number one, it was provided that before giving the reservation to the OBCs, the state government need to establish a dedicated commission. This dedicated commission will actually investigate that what is the level of the backwardness into that particular state, which communities are actually backward. So this particular test, the commission will investigate the backwardness. This is one thing. Second thing that was provided is that the proportion of reservation, fine, into the local bodies needed to be taken care of. There needs to be not the overbreadth fallout. Basically, it was provided that what is the proportion of the backward caste, into that proportion only the reservation needed to be given. It should not be much more than that. And then the third condition that was provided is that the aggregate reservation of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBCs into the local election should not be more than 50%, because into the 1992, earlier also I had provided you this thing that there was the Indira Sahani judgment, and into this Indira Sahani case of 1992, it was provided that the reservation should be less than 50% or up till the 50%. So these are the triple tests that are to be done, and only if all these conditions are fulfilled, then the state government can provide the reservation to the OBCs. This particular thing happened. Now guys, what happened, as this particular thing was there, the Maharashtra wanted to give the reservation to the OBCs into the local bodies, and actually the Maharashtra challenged this 2010 Supreme Court judgment. Okay, now this 2010 judgment was challenged, and thus actually a kind of a new ruling came, and this particular case was called as Vikas Krishna Rao Gwali versus State of Maharashtra 2021. See, remembering the name is not that much important. Just you can remember the that Supreme Court in 2010, Supreme Court in 2021 provided, or fine, just remembering the name and the dates actually are not that much important. You need to understand the concept. So now what in 2021 Supreme Court provided, Supreme Court read down the provision of the Maharashtra Zilla Parishad and Panchayat Samitis Act 1961. So basically this is the act by which the OBCs are being given reservation. Now Supreme Court provided here that okay, 27% reservation to the OBCs can be given. If you want, give the 27% reservation, but they should not increase more than 50%. Okay, earlier Maharashtra Election Commission had actually passed an order where reservation of more than 50% was given. Supreme Court quashed this particular order and said that no, more than 50% is not to be given, and if you have to give, constitute a commission to ascertain the backwardness of the OBCs. Fine. Now Maharashtra said that okay, we will constitute a commission and we'll see the backwardness, and this commission was constituted in June 2021. Now everything was going good up till this point of time, but what happened, before even this commission in Maharashtra would have submitted its report, basically what happened, the Maharashtra, it came out with the ordinance, and through the ordinance they amended their Maharashtra Zilla Parishad and Panchayat Samitis Act, and they overruled, or basically they overstepped whatever was provided by the Supreme Court. They proceeded with the reservation of OBCs without waiting for this commission's report. Now as the election was to be happened with the OBC reservation, basically the ordinance was challenged into the Bombay High Court. It was said that this ordinance is in violation of the Supreme Court's judgment, and as it was challenged into the Bombay High Court, it was said that the elections that are being carried, they are needed to be they cannot be continued, and without the reservation you need to carry the election. Now guys, what had happened, ultimately both the Maharashtra and one more state, that is the Madhya Pradesh, they had completely stopped their election at the local bodies. They say that we will not be carrying the election because there is a judicial interference that that had happened. Actually, the Madhya Pradesh was also trying to give the reservation to the OBCs, so both of them have stalled the election at the local bodies. Now guys, this thing in turn again is a violation of a Supreme Court judgment. Why? Because the Supreme Court very clearly provided that the elections should not be stalled. Elections needed to be carried. Is it clear? If you can carry it after constituting, if you can carry it within the time that you have constituted commission, the commission has recommended, then you can go for the reservation. Okay, if the commission had not submitted, then also the elections needed to be carried without the reservation, but elections have to be carried at every cost. But now the elections have been stalled. So this is the entire controversies that has developed into this particular direction. Now guys, in this particular thing we can see one thing which has been very much clear, and this thing is that there is a kind of an apathy in the legislature. There is an apathy in the legislature against the judicial pronouncement. They are not taking the spirit of the judicial pronouncement into the action. Either they are going into the too much technical interpretation of the judicial pronouncement at many times, or what they are doing, they are just bypassing the judgment by passing some ordinance, by bringing some another kind of law. So this is that they are doing. So therefore it happens that basically the legislature needs to be more matured and the spirit needs to be understood, because at the end of the day, if we see the spirit of democracy, in the democracy judiciary has been given a mandate to keep in check both the legislature and executive, and into that particular direction if these judgments are coming, then they are needed to be respected. Such a kind of a thing has been there. Is it clear? So this is guys this entire issue of the reservation of OBCs into the local bodies. I hope that you have understood it. Now I will highly be insisting that please don't go beyond this nothing is required, because when the questions will be coming, you can answer even 250 words a question by this. Now moving to the next one. Okay, so this article, Supreme Court upholds the OBC quota in NEET. Again, it has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. Very good article with respect to the GS paper number 2, affirmative action. Fine, affirmative action. Now see this particular thing that I see this article has been one where so many of the reference, so many of the keywords, so many of the phrases, so many of the statements have been given which you can directly use in your answers. So I will provide that. Okay, the things which have been provided here, directly just copy it and write in your answer if there is a need. Fine, very good references have been given. We'll see that. It's fine. So it will be important in GS paper number 2, affirmative action. Now let's understand first of all the background of this particular article, and then we'll go into this article. So first of all, understanding the background. Fine. Background. Now what is this background? So background goes like this, that basically to provide equity is more important than equality. Equity is to be provided, fairness is to be provided, and sometimes in order to provide the fairness, in order to provide the level playing ground, we need to use the affirmative action. Affirmative action means a positive discrimination, and within the affirmative action, the reservation as a policy can be provided. Now in our country, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and the other backward classes, in order to provide them the level playing field, we give them the reservation. Now this case pertains to giving the OBC reservation in the NEET in the All India quota. All India quota. Now what is this All India quota? Let's understand this particular thing. So basically guys, we know this particular thing, that for the medical courses and for the dental courses, there are many of the colleges in the different state governments. Now guys, the state governments, they actually put a condition that only the students of their own states, students who are domiciled into that particular state, they should be given the admission into these colleges. Is it clear? So guys, in order to provide some opportunity to the student of other states also, in order to provide the opportunity to other students also, this All India quota was announced within the NEET. Is it clear? It was provided that outside state students will also be allowed. Now within this All India quota, where the outside state students are being allowed, the reservation has also been given. The reservation is given to the scheduled caste, reservation is given to the scheduled tribe, and then reservation was announced to the OBCs recently. Fine. Now this particular thing was challenged, that why the OBCs opportunities are being given under the all India quota in the NEET examination. OBCs should not be given. It was provided. It was said that equality needs to be given. Now, finally, the Supreme Court has given its judgment, and Supreme Court had upheld the constitutional validity of the reservation for the OBC candidates in the all India quota seats for the NEET. Clear? For both the undergraduate, just a minute, for both the undergraduate and postgraduate into the medical and dental courses, the reservation has been given, and it has been said that the reservation is not against the meritocracy. See, always whenever the reservation is challenged, it is said that it will dilute the meritocracy. A person needs to be judged onto the merit. Now the Supreme Court has given some very excellent some observations. What Supreme Court provides, see very carefully. Supreme Court provides this particular thing, that an open examination presents equality of opportunity. That is very good. Okay, an open examination provides the equality of opportunity, but at the same time, reservation ensures this particular thing, that opportunities are distributed in such a way, that backward classes are equally able to benefit from such opportunities. Basically, there are the structural barriers many a times, there are invisible barriers many a times, because of which the backward sections, they are not able to take the advantage of opportunities, and reservation remove this structural invisible barrier. This thing has been provided by the Supreme Court. Then secondly, what Supreme Court has provided that the only manner in which merit can be democratizing force that equalizes inherited disadvantages and privileges. It has been provided that many times we basically have used the equality argument in just order to basically entrench the inherited inequalities that are there. Clear? If you provide equality to everybody, obviously the downtrodden sections, their welfare many times will get compromised. Supreme Court had provided that the claims of individual merit are nothing but many times they are tools of obscuring the inheritances that underlie achievement. Fine, they are just tools to obscure, to hide the inheritance that you have got. Supreme Court provided this thing, that the open competitive exam only ensures formal equality, but it does not end the widespread ingrained inequalities, deep rooted entrenched inequalities. It is not removed by the open examination. Fine, it has been provided that basically when we talk about the forward classes, they have many advantages are, first, number one, they have first of all a good quality access to the schools. Fine, good quality schools they can access the tutorials, they can access the coaching centers. Fine, first of all, these are the direct privileges that are there. And then there is guys, a very good word has been used, there are the privileges of social network and cultural capital that is also there. Please focus here, the privileges of social network and the cultural capital, it is also there with the forward communities. Now, what is this cultural capital? Cultural capital means that because the forward classes, their parents, their grandparents and all their family members are already educated, they inherently acquire good communication skills, they acquire good accent of in terms of language, they have accessibility of good books, academic accomplishment. From the very start, they had this particular clarity of vision that what has to be done. But whereas the backward students are there, their parents are not educated, environment is not congenial, so they don't have such kind of clarity. So therefore, this cultural capital and social networks that are there, they are not there with the backward, so that thing can only be improved by providing them the reservation. Further, the court has actually, now this is actually a very good thing that has happened here, court has questioned this entire concept of the merit. So court says that the idea of merit is many times based on to the scores in the exam. It needs a deeper scrutiny. Okay, seeing the score is very much good, but yes, even examinations are necessary and convenient, but just a high scoring candidate cannot be called as a talented one, because many times he might not use his talent to perform good actions. So therefore, it will be difficult to call such kind of people meritorious. According to the Supreme Court, the values are more important. The fortitude and resilience which is required to uplift from the poor conditions and basically the fortitude and the resilience which ensures your upliftment is more important. And if such thing has been there, we can call such students a meritorious student. Just a marks should not be the parameter of deciding the merit. Such thing has been provided. So that is all about this particular entire thing. And guys, please, the references that have been given, please, the words that have been used here, note it down somewhere in your notebook, and in the essays or in some of the questions, even in GS1 and GS2, we can use it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, okay, first of all, let's understand basically what we are taking up here in this article. So actually here we have clubbed the three articles. Fine. One article has been taken from the Indian Express Explained section. Other article we have taken from the editorial section, the Hindu newspaper, and this third article has also been taken from the Hindu newspaper. All these three articles are talking on one thing, that is the IAS officers cadre rules that are now being amended by the central government. So collectively we will be seeing this entire article and will try to make a sense out of it. By the way, yesterday also we have taken this particular entire issue. Okay, today also with the little bit more inputs we will be taking it up. Fine. Now, so let's understand that what the article, what these particular thing is being, what it is being talked about. So I will tell you. So first of all, the background. I will tell you first of all the background. So basically guys, the background goes like this, that there are the IAS officers, fine, all India, basically IAS and IPS officers are there, all India services are there. Now when we talk about the all India services, their examination is conducted by the UPSC. We know this particular thing. Fine, the officers are appointed okay, by the UPSC on a merit based examination. Now these officers are given to the state cadres, they are given to the state governments, they serve with the state government, and if the center government requires such all India service officers, they can request a state government, that please send some of the officers to the center at a center deputation. Is it clear? And the state will send those kind of officers. Now up till now what the system is, so basically the central deputation which will be sent by the state to the center, the officers which will be sent by the state to the center into this particular thing, a consensus based process was followed up till now. What was this consensus based process? Let's say the central government requires, let's say, 50 officers from the Uttar Pradesh. So center government will send a request to the Uttar Pradesh government that please give us the 50 all India service officers. Then the Uttar Pradesh government, center government, and the officers which are to be given, if everybody's consensus will be there, then the transfer will happen. Now up till now this particular process has been mutual. Is it clear or not? And this particular thing has been governed by the Rule 6 of the IAS Cadre Rules 1954. Is it clear? This central deputation and a transfer of the officers from state to center, it is governed by the Rule 6 of the IAS Cadre Rules 1954. Now this particular rule is to be changed. Is it clear? This particular rule is being changed. Why this particular rule is being changed? This entire thing we will understand in this particular entire write-up. So let's start with it. Now, a little bit of background, if a question comes which you can use in your answer, is that, the Sardar Patel, he championed the idea of creation of all India services. Fine, he reformed the ICS to IAS. Fine, he basically came out with the idea of the IAS and IPS, all India service category. He has an idea that actually the all India services are very much essential in the administrative framework of a vast and diverse country. See, there was one practical need also of developing the all India service. Now these bureaucrats, they had worked with the British government before the 1947, and these were actually the only people at that point of a time who had that experience in governance, experience in administration. So basically the service which were existing earlier, it was re-christianed into the all India services. Fine, a specific cadre of the officers were created. The Sardar Patel's idea was this, that we need to have a connecting link between the implementation at the field level and the policy making at the top. So field level and policy making at the top, a connect needs to be there, and such connection will be provided by the all India services. Now when we talk about the all India services, I already told you that they are available for central deputation through a consultative process involving the center, the state, and the officers concerned. Now this thing was good, a healthy convention was there, but guys, this convention has many a times it has been flouted by both the center as well as the states. Both have flouted this. Fine, for example, what happened in July 2020, 2001, sorry, in July 2001, the center government had unilaterally just said that placed at its disposal three of the IPS officers from the Tamil Nadu cadre without taking the state's basically approval. They specifically put these at disposal. Then in December 2020, the center did the same thing for the three IPS officers in the West Bengal cadre, and in May 2021 also, the center unilaterally called the chief secretary of the West Bengal just before the last day of his service. Is it clear? This particular crisis became a very big political controversy we have seen already this particular year. So what had happened? The center into the past have called the officers at its disposal. Is it clear? Many a times the state government has also withheld the names of the officers who deliberately want to go to the center for the deputation. So state is not sending and center is calling the forcefully. Such things had happened. Now in order to remove such kind of anomaly, the center government has proposed the four amendments into the Rule 6 of the IAS Cadre Rules 1954. Now what are these four amendments? Fine, not very much, though already we have seen it yesterday that what exactly the four amendments are, but you are not needed to go and read all the four amendments. You just need to get the idea. The idea is this: central government is providing this particular thing, that if central government wants, central government can call an officer from the state, all India service officer from a state, even when the state has not given its approval. Is it clear? Even when the no objection certificate is not given by the state, still the central government can call them. Number one. Number two, it has been provided. See, earlier the system was such that the 40% of the all India service officers can be given by the state to the center. Now the center says that not 40%, whatsoever officers, whatsoever number of officers we want, we can call them. Even more than 40% can be called. That is the second thing. Then guys, the next thing that had happened is that in the public service, if the officer is to be called from the state with the center can do that. And the fourth amendment was simply this, that basically in case of any difference of opinion between the center and the state, the center will decide finally what is to be done. So this is all the amendments that have been there. Is it clear? So that is all about it. Now what are the problems into these particular amendments? So the problem is this, that the first the one of the provision is that it is making it mandatory for the state government to provide a certain fixed number of IAS officers every year. Is it clear? Fixed number of officers are to be provided, and center can call that okay, we need these many officers. Now it has been provided that because of this thing, many a times the situation will develop that there are certain IAS officers which are to be sent to the central deputation even when these officers did not wish to go. Clear? Let's say that the central government says that okay, give us 30 officers, but willingly just 20 officers are willing to go from the state to the central deputation. Then the 10 officers without their wish has to be sent. It has been said that it is not good, because if we see many a times the officers, they have said that there are the poor working condition when they go into the central deputation. Fine, there are poor working condition into the junior level post. There are a lot of opaqueness, arbitrary system of empanelment is there for the senior post. Clear? Now what is happening? Basically the lateral entry is also coming, where directly the central government is bringing the officers at the higher post of the bureaucracy. Is it clear? At the director level already the advertisement has been floated by the UPSC. So what happens? Lucrative positions are being given to the lateral entrants, and then these officers are being called there. They say that when we are going, we are not getting the good working conditions, so they don't want to go there. So it has been said that actually the center should address this particular problem of poor working condition and should make such a condition that the other officer willingly wants to go there. Now at the same time, it has been provided that there is one more provision which requires that the state government to release such officers whose service may be sought by the central government in the specific situation. I told you that in the public interest, if a civil public servant is want, state has to send it. Now it has been said that the center can unilaterally many times can call the chief secretary, the principal secretary to the chief minister and other such key officers of the state which are ruled by the rival party. Now these officers are very important. Fine, these officers are very important. Many of the key decisions, fine, for the state governments are taken by them. Now the opposition ruled state, if it is there, such key officers will be called. Fine, and then it might create some kind of a problems for the government there into the state. So this is a problem that is there. Now guys, here it has been provided that if such kind of a thing will go on, then a kind of a wrong precedent, wrong tradition will be started. What tradition can start? See, if the all India service officer, whenever the center wants, if they can call him, and if the state don't have any power on this, what states will do? State will prefer the state civil services officer more and more, because on them they have ultimate control. So they will prefer the more PCS officer. They will be given much of the opportunity. By this particular thing, the IAS will lose its sheen. Fine, IAS, all India services, will lose its sheen, and the best, brightest of the brightest candidate like you guys who are preparing for this, you will not go into that particular thing, and as a whole the IAS as a career will go for a dip. So this is a problem. So long term problem is also there. Now in this particular direction, guys, here the two of the references have been given, which you can use in any of the answers pertaining to the federalism. Wherever there is a problem of wherever the center is showing a unilateralism, you can use it. So one is the words of the prominent jurist Nani Palkhiwala. So what has been said? A national consensus should certainly remind the center that it has not inherited the viceroy's mantle of paramountcy. So there needs to be consensus, and the center needs to remember that they have not inherited the paramountcy of the viceroy. Now the system has been changed. The center would have no moral authority to govern unless it displays a sense of constitutional morality. Until and unless center uses the constitutional rules, the constitutional traditions, there will be no morality to rule. Okay, so you need to always keep in mind the constitutional morality. The sense of justice and fairness towards the states always needed to be adopted. Justice and fairness towards the state is needed to be adopted. So it simply provides that the center cannot act as a hegemon, center cannot act as a paramount power. Then there is the SR Bomai versus Union of India 1994 judgment of Supreme Court. Now what has been provided in this judgment? States have an independent constitutional existence, and they have an important role to play in the political, social, educational and cultural life of the people as the union. So it is equivalent to the union. They are neither satellites nor the agent of the center. They are not subservient to the center. This has been provided. Now these references you can use in your answers pertaining to the federalism in your questions if it comes. So this is all about this particular thing. Okay, just one thing I wanted to give you here, guys. If you are just writing the question, and if onto the in the favor of this particular amendment that has come, you have to write, then there are certain datas which we can take from this particular article. What is the data? So basically the DOPT provided that only 10%, just a minute, the DOPT provides that only the 10% of the mid-level IAS officers were posted with the union in 2021. Just 10% of the mid-level officers, the state government are not sending it. Compare it with the data of 2014. In 2014, 19% of the officers were posted. So from 19% in 2014, there is only 10% of them which are being posted now. Now it has been provided that during the time, the total pool of officers has actually expanded. There were 621 officers in 2014 at this level, and now there are 1130 officers in 2021. There is an increase of 80%. So the pool has expanded, but at the same time the number of officers are not being sent by the state to the center. So the DOPT is justifying this particular amendment that is coming. Now it has been provided that the all India service officers, they are recruited by the union government, and they are placed at the various state cadres, and it is a responsibility for state that they are needed to be, such officers are needed to be sent to the center whenever it is required. Fine, the central deputation reserve is around now 40% of the sanctioned post. Fine, I told you this particular thing earlier also. Now these are all the things. And now guys, the number, fine, how many, which year they are said, how many serving we are, not important. Just the broad data which I have provided, you should use it. So that is all about this article. And now moving to the next article. Should the government loosen its purse string? So this article, it has been published just before the budget, that in the upcoming budget what needs to be the government's economic policy. So this particular article will be important in our GS paper number 3, the economic developments. Okay, the economic development. Fine. So this is more of a debate. However guys, this information is evolving one. A lot of things will change by the time you will write your examination. But let's understand, to understand the state of economy presently, what is going on. Fine. Now, see, first of all, understanding the context of this particular article. Now, we see that first of all, there is upcoming budget. Now, guys, at the same time, we have already, I think 2 days back, we have seen one particular article where the inflation was increasing slowly, and it is going near the 6% limit that is there. You know this thing, that there is a monetary policy committee in India, and the monetary policy committee had provided this thing that the maximum inflation can be up to 6%, and already we are going to that particular thing. Now, as inflation is coming, fine, there are actually the two viewpoints that has been developed. Viewpoint number one, there are certain people who say that as inflation is coming, government needs to reduce their spending. Government needs to reduce their spending, and the supply of money into the economy needs to be reduced, because we know this particular thing, when the money will be more, when the money supply will be there in the economy, the inflation will increase. So spending needs to be reduced. Second opinion that comes into this particular direction is that no, government should continue with providing the fiscal stimulus that it is giving. So whenever the crisis or a kind of a problem comes in economy, government increases the spending, government gives more fiscal stimulus, increased spending is there. Fine. Now around the world, governments are giving the fiscal stimulus. If you remember, in 2020, government came out with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. It was a 20 lakh crore rupees reform package. So it was nothing but a fiscal stimulus. So some people say that no, you should not bother about the inflation, keep on giving the fiscal stimulus, because it will bring the growth, and growth is now more important. Though inflation is to be controlled, but growth is even more important. So this is the thing that has been there. So this is first of all the debate that is going into the background. So this is the issue. Now guys, here it has been provided that the inflation is increasing. Now little bit of few conceptual things with respect to the inflation, with respect to your prelims examination. Inflation can be described as general rise in the price of the goods and services in an economy over the period of time. Now when we talk about the inflation in India, the primary index of measuring the inflation in India is the Consumer Price Index, CPI. Fine. We basically don't measure the inflation right now at the WPI. Fine. Now what is the difference between the wholesale price index and consumer price index? There are the differences that when the wholesale price index is there, there are two things which are not included into the wholesale price. Number one, additional cost of transportation, it is not included into the WPI. Fine, though it is included in CPI. So CPI is more realistic because it includes the cost of transportation. Second, it has been provided that the markup is not included. Fine, retail markup is not included into the wholesale price, and this is also needed to be added up. It is a very important thing. Then there is one more difference, is that the wholesale WPI is only for the goods. You cannot buy the services on a wholesale basis. Fine. So the CPI includes the services as well as the goods. Fine. WPI does not includes the services. And in WPI, retail markup is not there. In WPI, transportation cost is also not there. So CPI is more realistic. Now coming to the article, basically it has been provided that right now, if we see, fine, at the world, there is the international inflation that is increasing. Why this international inflation is increasing? The most important reason is that the international oil prices have gone up to $87 per barrel recently. And as basically the oil is because oil and the oil is very much important for the transportation. Without the transportation, the goods cannot be provided to the end consumer. And if the oil will become important, if the oil price will increase, the transportation will increase, and at the end of the day, the goods prices will increase. So the international inflation is there. Now this inflation will translate into the India also. So there is a transmission of international inflation into the domestic economy that is there. Now when we talk about the India, in India, the supply side inflation has been more important one. Now the supply side inflation, what is this? See, supply side inflation, sometimes from the point of supply, the prices of goods will increase. Why it will increase? Because the production cost has increased. Why the production cost has increased? Because the raw material cost has increased, the transportation has become expensive, and all such kind of thing. Now when we talk about the inflation in India, inflation is more of a supply side problem, where the from supply side the prices are increased because the production cost has increased. Guys, the inflation could also be demand side. Demand side means that now more and more people are requiring the goods. Fine, the goods have been, the supply has been the same. 100 goods were being supplied earlier. Now also the 100 goods are being supplied, but more people need them. So demand side inflation can also increase. Demand side can also increase the inflation. In India, inflation comes from the supply side majorly. Fine, it has been provided. It is not driven as much by the domestic factors as it is driven by the international factors, though the domestic factor plays an important role. Now, understanding this particular point, basically, it is said that because in India we consume a lot of oil which is imported, and if the oil prices will increase, what will happen? Transportation will increase. So, international factors contribute a large in the inflation in India. Along with it, the domestic factors which contribute into the inflation is the taxes onto the petroleum goods and services. It has increased a lot into the last few days. Fine, it has increased a lot onto the last few days. Is it clear? And because of this also the prices are increasing. Fine. Then further moving on. Some of the inflation in wholesale price will be passed on to consumer prices. So inflation is cause of a concern not just for fiscal policy but for monetary policy also. Fine. Now the upcoming budget, what it needs to focus? Upcoming budget needs to focus more on the social sector as well as medium term growth prospects. Fine, it has been provided that government should continue spending the money, government should continue to provide the fiscal stimulus, government need to focus more on to the medium term growth prospects. So in such a way the expenditure needed to be carried that the employment generation can happen, the infrastructural development can happen, and in long term our economy comes on a track. The momentum spikes, it should not be focused. So it has been provided that economic recovery has to be more on a sustainable basis and not onto the short term spikes onto the growth, and for that capacity spend money if it is needed. Government has to open its purse. Fine, the incomes of the people is to be improved. Is it clear? Fine, it has been provided that actually we are getting in a situation where public debt to GDP ratio is increasing. Now what is the public debt to GDP ratio? Fine, the debt in comparison to the GDP, is it clear, that is increasing. Fine, but we should not be too much concerned about this particular thing, because if we will not spend, what will happen? The growth will not come. If the growth will not come, even the government revenue will be reduced. Is it clear? So therefore we need to focus more onto the growth, and if momentary inflation is there, we should not be bothered about that particular thing. This has been suggested. Looking at the long term picture, we needed to look at the long term picture rather than at the short term pictures. Is it clear? So this is some kind of a suggestion that is there. However guys, the picture will become more clear as this Omicron scare that has been there, it will go down, and as the budget will come, the picture will become more clear. So this is guys as of now the certain prescriptions that has been given. So that is all about this particular article. Now moving to the next article. Now this particular article, it is talking about the Yemen crisis that is going on. Now guys, basically into this particular article the entire picture has not been given. However, just day before yesterday, fine, day before yesterday onto the 19th January at this particular timestamp 5 minutes 53 seconds, I have discussed this entire Yemen crisis from the scratch. Is it clear? For all the stakeholders, what is the UAE's interest, what is the Iran, Saudi Arabia's interest, all these things from the very scratch we have taken up here. So I will recommend that rather than going into this particular article, you please go and see the day before yesterday's 19th of January clipping. Fine, if you have not seen, if you have seen it, then you can skip this article. So that is all, and now we'll move to the next. Now, this article again taken from the Hindu newspaper, it talks about the recent Environment Ministry's proposal to rank the states on the basis of environmental clearances that are being given. Now, this particular thing has become a new controversy. Environmental activists are criticizing this particular thing. Now, this particular article will be important for our GS paper number 3, issues related to the environment and ecology. Now, let's understand that what has come here. So basically the Union Environment Ministry had came out with a proposal, and the proposal goes like this, that ministry says that we will rank and incentivize the state on to the basis that how quickly they are giving the environmental clearances to the infrastructural projects. Is it clear? Union Ministry had said this particular thing, that a 7-point criteria has been laid out to rate the state, or to rate out the state environmental impact assessment agencies. Fine. So state environmental impact assessment agencies, they will be rate on a 7-point criteria. Basically transparency will be seen, efficiency will be seen, and accountability will be seen. Now it has been provided that actually if the state environment impact assessment agency had cleared a particular project within the 80 days, they will be given more marks, they will be given 2 marks. If they have cleared the project within 105 days, they will be given 1 mark, and if they had taken more than that, no marks will be given given to them. So the states will be ranked that how fast they are giving the environmental clearances. Now, basically, the certain NGOs, certain civil societies, they have criticized this particular steps. The Legal Initiative for Forest and Environment Life, which is a very prominent environmental organization in India, it has described that it is violative of Environment Protection Act. According to them, what is the purpose of the environmental impact assessment? Environmental impact assessment's purpose is that to see that what will be the impact created by a project on the nearby ecology environment. Now when you are giving a one particular time frame, clear, many times what will happen, in order to meet this particular time frame, many of the processes will not be done, a comprehensive report will not be prepared, there will be a lot of violations that will happen because this time frame has to be met down. Now, in the defense, the environment ministry is saying this particular thing, that this ranking criteria is not intended to accelerate the speed. Rather, there is a kind of a log jam. There is a kind of a log jam that often comes into the state government. They are not simply taking any step. They are not even starting the environmental impact assessment. So, in order to provide the momentum, this particular timeline has been fixed. So, they say that it is to encourage the SEIAA to take quicker decisions. Either they approve it or they reject it. Do something. Don't just sit. Either reject it or approve it. Fine. So this particular thing has been provided here into this particular article. So guys, as this thing we know in the past, as the time will be changed, as we will be moving forward, many articles, many editorials will be also be written onto such kind of a thing. So as this particular thing will further evolve, we'll see all the things. However, right now both it looks good also, because whatever the justification has been given, it looks a little bit plausible, but on another hand there is also a fear that the environmental regard will be ridiculed. So this is the entire thing that has come. We can use this particular thing as a reference also, that how the environment is many times being taken lightly. That is all. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, extended range brahmos tested. See, one thing I wanted to tell, that first of all, the brahmos, it is a very tactical weaponry that India got. Okay, now see, just on 12th of January there was one more article onto the same line that has already came, where one more improved version of the brahmos was tested. See, one thing I want to tell, that every day such kind of developments are not very much important. Okay, let's see that first of all what has happened here, and then we'll understand more about why such kind of thing is not important every day. First of all, the brahmos missile. Now the brahmos, it is named on the basis of river Brahmaputra and the Moskva river of Russia. The brahmos, this missile is a joint collaboration between the India and Russia. And the brahmos missile, the missile can be launched from the land, sea, sub-sea, okay, from the air against the surface and sea-based target. It can be launched. Is it clear? There is there is a precise maneuverability that is there into this particular missile. Fine. Now the initial range of this particular brahmos missile was capped at 290 kilometer. Fine. Why? Because there are the obligations of the missile technology control regime that were imposed onto the India. So as per the MTCR, the 290 kilometer range was there, but now India got an entry into the MTCR missile technology control regime in 2016, and now the range is being extended to 450 kilometer, and then it will be extended to more 600 kilometer. Now recently guys, what had happened? Fine. Basically, from the INS Vishakhapatnam, C2C variant of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile was tested. Okay, recently it got tested. Now, what this particular article is, now even more improved version of the BrahMos has been tested. So this new improved version, it is having more indigenous content, more domestically procured content is there, improved performance is there. Okay, and it has been successfully tested from the Chandipur coast of Odisha. So earlier I told you that it was tested from the INS Vishakhapatnam. That was also one kind of a thing is there. Now see, every time a little bit better improved version with better indigenous part is being used. Such kind of a thing is not every day important for our examination. You need to understand this particular thing. Fine. However, these basic details are very important. Please note them down. So that is all about this particular article. And with this guys, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Friends, I hope that you have understood the articles and you are now also learning the skill that how to read and how to interpret the articles so that they are relevant for your examinations. Always I insist one particular thing, that you should aspire for learning a skill. Is it clear? Aspire for learning a skill. Okay, just the passive reading of the newspaper, okay, just a translation of the newspaper from English to Hindi or such kind of a thing as you might be doing at your own, might not many times be helping you out, because the opinion is more important into the UPSC examination. And into this particular opinion, a crystal clarity onto the concepts with the background along with the future linkage is something which is going to help you out. Just I want to say this particular thing, that try to learn the skill, try to learn the capability, try to learn this particular thing, because this is something which will be helping you in your examination. So that is all about this today's session. Now we will be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. If you have liked the initiative, please do hit the like button and please do spread the initiative. So that is all for today. Thank you so much. Please take care of yourselves.